It's one of the most anticipated bottles of the year and a bourbon that many are calling Bourbon of the Year. It's time to review Russell's 15-year bourbon. Painstakingly crafted by master distiller Eddie Russell, the Russell's Reserve 15-year-old is another exciting chapter in the rich heritage and legacy of Russell's Reserve. Non-chill filtered and bottled at precisely 117.2 proof, the limited release exemplifies Eddie's expert ability to develop complex flavors through careful aging and keen barrel selection. Russell's 15 comes in at 117.2 proof with an estimated SRP of $250. Welcome back to the Whiskey Tornado. I'm your host, Lance. Today we are reviewing Russell's 15. I got to tell you guys right off the bat, $250 price tag makes me want to throw up, but I couldn't resist. Everybody is calling this Bourbon of the Year, and I was able to get a bottle, so I did. I bought one, and I'm excited to review it for you guys, just to tell you what I think, because everybody's been telling me if you see it, you gotta buy it. I have not watched any reviews. I've just heard from everybody in the bourbon community that this is a banger of a bottle. So we're gonna find out today. For those of you new to the channel, I will review this and tell you guys whether I think it's a buy or pass based on if you're a beginner, intermediate, or bourbon aficionado. And then at the end, I will tell you guys whether I think it's worth buying more than one bottle to bunker some for special occasions. All right, with all that being said, let's get into the nose. Cheers, everybody. Holy moly. Oh my goodness, the nose on this thing. Sweet, sweet dense oak. There's a rickhouse dusty quality on the nose to this that's just absolutely beautiful. Makes my toes curl, makes me really happy, makes me excited to get into this. The nose reminds me of a mixture of like, if you ever had those old Rhetoric bourbons, Rhetoric 21, 22, 23, 24, they all had this like crazy sweet oak note to it. It's got that on the nose, but it's like a mixture. If I was smelling this blind, I would think it was like a Rhetoric 22, maybe a 15-year-old, maybe a 15-year-old Remus, something along those lines, or an Elijah Craig barrel proof. Man, it is really good. But if you've had old, good quality bourbon, you know the exact nose I'm talking of, especially if you've smelled any of those old Rhetoric bottles. Man, this has it all over it. It is dense and intense. Dense and intense. I need to make sure it's dense and intense. It is fantastic. It's got this really like dark brown sugar, and then even some tobacco on the nose. Just, I mean, A+ on the nose for me with this one. So let's get into this first sip. Cheers, everybody. Oh, yeah. It comes in super concentrated with that sweet oak, dense brown sugar. Quickly starts to turn to drying on the back of the palate. Again, 15 years in the barrel, you're gonna have some excessive oak tannins. I wouldn't call it excessive, but it definitely dries your palate out a little bit on the back end. Very sweet and concentrated. The only thing is on that first sip, it came in with like such concentration and it left me really quick, which if I'm paying $250 for a bourbon, I do not want that thing to leave me quick. I want it to hang around. I want to be able to savor it. I mean, within 5 seconds of me tasting the first sip, I was wanting to go back in for another sip just to kind of relive that first overwhelming swell of flavor that I got. So let's go into the second sip, see if we get anything different. Yeah. So you get that sweet oak, you get cinnamon. The tobacco that I was getting on the nose that I didn't get on the first sip is now there. The flavor that went away so quickly on the first sip is hanging around a little bit longer on the second sip. So that's good. It's still going away too quick for my liking. But it's there, it's concentrated, it's beautiful brown sugar, sweet oak, tobacco notes. and cinnamon. It's kind of reminding me of a really good Elijah Craig barrel proof batches. All right, let's go to the third sip. Man, it drinks nice. At 117 proof, there's like no burn in my chest cavity, none at all, but tons of tingle and spice on the tongue. Tons of that like cinnamon spice, kind of numbs your tongue just a little bit. I'm telling you guys, if I didn't know and I was tasting this blind, I would probably think this was a lower proof Elijah Craig barrel proof, but in the best way possible. It's really good. My problem with it is the price tag and the finish. Every sip leaves me too quickly. It leaves me wanting more. I have to go back in a little quicker. You know, a bourbon of 15 years at 117 proof that's that concentrated should linger around longer, in my opinion. There's something in the mid palate that I just miss a little too quickly, and it makes me want to get back into this. That's not saying that it's a bad bourbon. It is a delicious bourbon. But again, we're talking $250. Now, I have blinded this against Elijah Craig C923, and I did put this on a live stream ahead of Elijah Craig C923, just barely. I said in the blind I could have interchanged them any day of the week. But Elijah Craig barrel proof is $80. This is $250. It just doesn't warrant the price. It just doesn't. I don't care what anybody says. I suppose it depends on how much money you have. If you have tons of money and $250 is nothing to you, absolutely go find Russell's 15. But for most of us, $250 is a premium price tag. And when I'm talking $250, I want to have the best of the best. It just doesn't stand out enough against some of the Elijah Craig barrel proof batches. But in my opinion, Wild Turkey is just getting way too greedy. I don't even search for the Wild Turkey Master's Keeps anymore. I'm not going to pay those crazy prices. Now they're selling us a 15-year bourbon at $250. I mean, what are we doing here? I'm not going to do it. I did it this time, unfortunately, against my better judgment. And while it's good bourbon, I just cannot tell you guys to go out and search for this and hunt for it and think it's going to be light years ahead of some of the Elijah Craig barrel proof batches you can get. Just as a reference, batch B524 just came out of Elijah Craig barrel proof, which is a fantastic bourbon. And I picked that up for $68 at A1 down in Effingham. And it's not light years worse than Russell's 15. So do with that information what you will. Let's take one more sip of this. Yeah, it's everything I said. It's beautiful. If we're talking, is this a bottle for beginners, intermediates, and bourbon aficionados? I would say for beginners, I would say this is a pass. You're not going to appreciate the delicacy and the complexity of this as a beginner at 117 proof. It might be a little hot for you, but this does drink below its proof, I believe. Drinks really nice. For intermediates, I would also probably say this is a pass, unless $250 is nothing to you and you want to impress people. Certainly go buy this bottle. For bourbon aficionados, I would say it's a buy if $250 is nothing to you and you just want it on your shelf. This is a bottle that's going to impress a lot of people that come over. They're going to really love it if you give them a pour. Just don't expect it to be light years ahead of good Elijah Craig barrel proof batches that you can get for half the cost. And our last topic is Russell's 15, a bunker bottle. I guess, it's going to be a bottle that people are chasing. It's getting a lot of hype. I think people in their minds had it as their bourbon of the year before they even tasted it. And rightfully so, because Russell's Reserve has a great reputation, and I buy Russell's Reserve picks all the time. It's one of my favorite value buys, but Russell's Reserve 15, obviously not a value buy. But if you want to bunker it, I would say it is a bunkerable bottle. People are going to be super impressed. I'm sure the value will only go up. It's a great bottle. And in 10, 15 years, if you pull this bottle out of the bunker, nobody's going to be sad. All right, guys, that does it for our review of Russell's 15-year bourbon. If you'd like to get access to barrel picks I do, there's a link in the description below, or you can go to barrelsforhope.com. It is our 501c3 charity group where we do all our barrel picks and all proceeds go to charity. Last year, we donated $40,000 to charity. This year, we're hoping for more. If you'd like to just support the channel, you can go to our Patreon. Link is also in the description below, and you can join for as little as $2 a month. Thank you to all our Patreon supporters. You're what make all this possible. We love you guys, and we will see you on the next review. Cheers, everybody. Yes, delicious, but mild turkey, man, pisses me off. It's too much money.